Okay, welcome everyone to the Village of New Paltz Planning Board meeting of October 3rd, 2023. Tonight we have a full agenda with a couple public hearings, a number of application reviews. I'd like to start out with some administrative business. First of all, did everyone get a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting on August 15th? Any changes or updates to that? No. Okay. I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes then.
So
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Aye. Next up, I was wondering if we had Bill Murray here. Any updates from the village board or the Ulster County Planning Board? Great, thank you. Next up, I'd like to move to the public comment section of the meeting. Just a reminder that if you have any comments specifically for regarding the 98 North Chestnut Street application or the 184 Main Street application, we do have a separate public hearing section for those tonight. So are there any other general comments or comments about other projects? Now is the time for those. Would anyone here like to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none in the audience, is there anyone online that wish to make a general public comment? Okay. Yep. In that case, I'd like to close the public comment section and move on to our first public hearing. So first we have PB 23-03 98 North Chestnut Street. Is anyone here that would like to make a comment about this application? Sorry. Oh, sorry. It's not open yet. Okay, yes. Could I get a motion to open the public hearing for 98 North Chestnut? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anyone here like to make a public comment about 98 North Chestnut? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to get a motion to close the public hearing for 98 North Chestnut. Oh, okay. Sorry, we have one person online. Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Keith Leibolt, and I'm the owner of one of the owners of Zero Place across the way. The only comment I would have is that, should the board find this application favorable, that they require the same parking limitations and evaluation that was put on the special permit that was issued for us across the street.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Stewart's building.
Yes, that is correct.
Then I do have a comment.
Okay, please come up and we prefer because otherwise you won't really be able to be heard.
Marty Jenkins, and I live up on 3 Taylor Street. And I know that some of our neighbors are concerned about the location of this property being so close to the swimming pool, and wondering if it'd be possible at least to maybe remove that little footbridge behind the old Stewart's that has access to this pool parking lot and everything. I think we're concerned because our kids take that path multiple times, especially going to the pool and stuff. And I think that we're just not sure what to expect. And a lot of them take the footbridge going across too.
Can I just ask what the concern is?
Well, I think they're young kids. I think obviously the cannabis, the marijuana, I think has, not sure who's going to be coming in, if it's going to be regulated, if people are going to be registering to set up for a schedule to come and make their purchases, how much the traffic is going to be. I think we just don't know. I think a lot of the neighbors have just kind of found out about this at the recent.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to make a public comment about PB 2303-98 Winchester? Okay. In that case, I would like to get a motion to close the public hearing for this application.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up, we have PB 2204-184 Main Street. This is, we are resuming the public hearing for this project, so I don't think I need a motion to open this public hearing. So I'd like to ask anyone, if anyone here has a comment on this application, 184 Main Street. Yes, please.
I made a few comments last time in relation to the parking, and I'd like to continue that. Millbrook Road, Manheim and Center Street are not adjacent to the building that's supposed to go up, and if you're gonna count parking on the street, which I don't think you should, but if you are, it's supposed to be adjacent, according to the village regulations, supposed to be adjacent to the property. And it's not. Can you comment on
Sorry. Get your name when you get it on.
that? Steve Ford.
You know, we will be discussing this in the application review section, but if you want to send, you know, the village code that you're referring to, so we can.
Sent already by Chris Watkins.
Okay.
Letter to you.
Yeah, we will review that and.
All right, so I want to follow up on the parking in that main course, which said that they were opening for a takeout place, expanded into a restaurant. And they have like 8 parking spots, and they use Mill Rock Road for parking already. And it was against what was approved. They fought it in court, and the village got tired of fighting it, and that's how that went through. I think you would be fighting with this development because they would be doing things like that. And when I said to Bruce personally, I said to him, why did you lie to the board and to me personally when I asked you about what this building was going to be? He said, Steve, it was just business, like he was in The Godfather. This building that's going up is just business. I don't think they have any concern for the people in New Falls. They just want to open something that will work for them, that's not going to work for anybody in the community. What else can I say? Did you, the question is, was the variance for the height of the building just given? Was that given to them?
There's no variance needed. The height of the building follows the zoning of.
But the zoning has changed.
Yes, a number of years ago, the zoning.
How many years ago?
I'm not aware of that, but 2021, okay.
2021.
Yeah.
So it wasn't connected with this.
No,
And what about the water, the drainage from
you know, all of these things will be discussed in the review
closed
session.
session?
No, there are no closed sessions.
Okay, so you will discuss it here?
Yes, like we always do.
Okay. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to make a comment about 184 Main Street? Yes, please. Sure, if you're making one comment, then
Yeah, name's Gary Banks.
And I'm Kathleen Banks, and we live at 11 Mill Rock Road, which is 4 houses down from Main Street. Two houses down from Steve. And so my concern with this project is the parking issue. And I want to draw a picture or paint a picture for you of what it's like on Main Street or on Mill Rock Road where we live. So people park on Mill Rock, often for Main Course Restaurant. People need to do what they need to do. But what happens is that they park on both sides of the road, and it's very difficult to get in and out of our driveway. We have a driveway, so I have somebody parking across my driveway, next to my driveway, and on the other side of my driveway. So it's really hard to get in and out, and it's really hard to get in and out when it snows and there are snowbanks. So there are times when we've had to go out and try to find somebody to get them to move their car so we can get out of our driveway. So it's a narrow road. And when you have cars parking on both sides and it's filled up because of traffic for the restaurant, it's hard for us to park anybody else on our driveway as well. We have no place for guests when they come. But I think what's more concerning is the kind of traffic that comes by. So people use Mill Rock and Manheim as a cut through between Main Street and Henry Du Bois. And they go fast. They drive really fast on a really tight road. And one thing that just happened to me today, I'm coming home from work, I turn off Main Street onto Mill Rock. I have to pull over so that somebody else can go by. And while somebody's going by, an e-bike flies by me, in my blind spot. And this is happening all the time. So I'm super concerned about even more traffic and even more parking on Mill Rock. And I would say also for Manheim and also for Center Street, but I can't speak to those. So that's something that I hope the planning board will consider seriously. The quality of life for the people who live here. I've had that house for 20 years. We're tax-paying members of the community. I hope you will take that seriously. Thank you.
thank you.
And I would just say I agree with what Steve said. I agree with what Kathleen said, and the parking situation on Mill Rock is awful.
Yeah.
As it is. And if you put this business down right across Main Street from our street, it's going to just overflow and it's just going to be worse. I don't see anything getting better.
Sometimes in front of our house, 2 cars try to park and they park so close to my driveway that I can't get out of my own driveway. And that's even not with, so then we're faced with, do we call the police and ask them to ticket? I don't want to be a jerk, but we got to be able to get in and out of our driveway, So it's just something to really, I hope to really consider. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other public comments on 184 Main Street here in the audience? Okay, seeing none in the audience, is there anyone online?
Yes, I can't figure out how to raise my hand, but yes.
Okay, go ahead, please. And could you state your name?
Yes, it's Abby Modishek, and I'm at 9 Mill Rock, between Steve and Kathleen and Gary. And I submitted a full written comment into the record, but I just wanted to ascribe myself to both of their comments and second that the parking and traffic on Mill Rock and probably surrounding streets, but I can speak for Mill Rock, is really a concern. And the congestion will not really improve life for your residents here.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for providing a written comment. Is there anyone else online that would like to make a comment? Okay. Seeing none, I would like to get a resolution to, a motion to close the public hearing for PB 2204.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Okay. So that concludes the public hearing section for tonight. Now moving on to the application review, we have PB 21AX New Paltz Apartments. Would you, are they here?
They're joining us online.
Okay, great. Welcome back. So I think tonight our main focus of the planning board is to determine if the DEIS is complete. Did everyone get a chance to review the EAF Part 3?
The DEIS documents that the applicant submitted
Okay, yeah.
and the resolution.
So yes, did everyone get a chance to review the EIS documents and the resolution that Emily prepared? I think I have one actually here. Yep. You want to review that? Did you
I
take a look?
started looking at, it's just, I started looking at the form,
Hmm.
I had the same issues with not being able to get to the appendices
Ah.
and the attachments. And so after a while, it just became, going through the whole thing just became somewhat bewildering. I mean, my main concern was to make sure that there was, among the alternatives, one with a significantly reduced size. And if that's not there, then my vote is no. 724 units, if they can't cut out a few of those buildings, especially the ones encroaching the wetlands, and I don't think they've given us sufficient alternatives. And if that's not there, then that's how I feel about it. I could
So-
not see whether it was or not, so I'll rely on someone with.
So we did discuss this in prior meetings, and I
Yes.
think the conclusion that we came to is they also recognize the need to study that.
Right.
However, you know,
They'll
they're
do that
going
at a
to
later
incorporate
stage.
more of the public comments into that future plan. So they, we don't have a
It isn't addressed.
completely new plan, in the submission yet. However,
Is this all still valid?
well, yeah, absolutely. Those are all parts
From
of the
August.
studies and
From August of
the
last
data.
year?
Well, there's updated documents since August of last year. Yeah,
And there's 4 volumes, not 2.
yeah.
Right,
There's
so
much more than that.
I want to get rid of the stuff that I don't need and just have the new stuff.
Well, what the applicant has provided for the village is an online folder that has the main file and all the appendices all in one place. So I think that's probably the easiest way for a lot of people to access it. And then
Yeah.
I think they gave us some hard copies, is that right? Yeah.
In the office.
So if the board decides that it's complete, then the next phase would be to schedule, the resolution schedules the public hearing and public comment period, which would extend into November and give everyone a chance, both the other agencies and the public, to comment. And then we would move on to addressing those comments.
Yes. I mean, I think the resolution looks good and that the DEIS is complete at this point. I'm happy with the changes they made and that they responded to our feedback. But I guess maybe I could, does everyone agree with these dates of setting a public hearing for November 9th and accepting written comments through November 24th. That sounds appropriate to everyone. And
November 9th is a Thursday. That's the rescheduled date for the meeting that would have been on election day.
right.
I have no problem with the dates, but can I ask a question? First of all, this is the first time I think that I've actually gone through the beginning of a draft environmental impact statement and our role as a board in reviewing that and now deeming it complete. Did I review all 4 volumes? I did not. I will be honest with you. I did review as much as I felt I could understand, make reasonable opinions about what was presented to me. Is the engineering work accurate and complete? I have no idea. I did find some of the flowery statements about the economic impact of this project, simply that, flowery. Yes, they did hire consultants from all over the state to prepare this thing. That's great. I appreciate them doing that. If we deem it complete, am I saying it's true? I'm not. Then it's complete, in my opinion.
No, I think it's not with the FEIS, because I had a big problem with a lot of the language as well. And there, I didn't feel that numerous things weren't addressed, that wasn't satisfied with. And then I did some further research on the development company, and it's the same development, that it's the same person that was here in, I think it was 2011. And I found an application for remediation of that brownfield site, and I never found the resolution for that either. The application is online for the remediation of the brownfield, but I wasn't able to find the further documents showing how it was remediated, what the results were, and I'm still not clear. And this may be my fault that I haven't been, able to get through it. Whether they adequately address the contaminated soil, and those are my, if we can address those with the FEIS, we can say this is complete. But
I mean, you did raise that issue before, and I thought they responded to it they have lots of random sampling and.
yeah,
and other
it's
remediation.
random. That was one of my difficulties with it.
Okay. Well, this is,
It needs to be targeted to where they apply the chemicals, not just.
okay. Well, maybe Emily, you could just give us a quick summary of the next steps after this is approved and the public
Right.
hearing happens.
So the scope happened, and our job now is to say whether this fulfills everything that was asked for in the scope. If it does, then the next step will be that we'll circulate it to all the other agencies that are involved, meaning they have any sort of discretionary approval, which is a lot because this involves, the town, the village, the state, all different agencies. We'll also have it posted online and in the library and everything, and people will have an opportunity to review it. We'll have the public comment. And then when we get the public comment in, then we'll have to, and the board can make these comments as well during that point. And all of those comments will have to be addressed, and then we'll come back and, whatever additional things are needed before we can get to the FEIS that the board approves, and the findings statement. So you'll still have a chance to decide whether everything adequately satisfies your concerns. The question right now is just whether we have enough material to start that process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want any more material.
Okay.
Thank you.
And there will be mitigation too. So whatever, the point here is we know there are impacts from this project. And so the part of the process will be determining what mitigation is needed to mitigate those impacts.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. So I think at this point, I'd like to just read the resolution and ask for a motion to approve the resolution as prepared. So
Can we
Yeah.
just check with well, you can read it. Let's ask the applicants if they're okay with those dates before we take
Great.
a vote.
Okay, so in consideration of the foregoing, planning board of the Village of New Paltz, New York hereby resolves as follows. The DEIS dated August 31st, 2023 is declared complete. And 2, the planning board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, November 9th, 2023 at 7 p.m. and will accept written comments through November 24th, 2023 at 4 p.m. And 3, the planning board attorney is directed to prepare a notice of completion of the DEIS and notice of public hearing. And 4, the planning board attorney and staff are directed to timely publish and circulate those notices pursuant to the requirements of 6 NYCRR 617.18 and 617.12. And 5, planning board staff are directed to publish the DEIS on the village's website and submit a copy to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
Can I just note 2 things? One is
Sure.
that the public comment needs to be accepted in writing through 10 days after the public hearing. So if you end up needing to extend the public hearing, then you would also likewise extend the public comment.
Okay.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a month and we can't even forget about it. It either needs to be extended or the date needs to be pushed back. Because that's not enough time for a project this size that affects this many people.
Well, I mean, if you held it that night and then you decided that you wanted to hold an additional session, that's what I meant, but whatever, the board wants.
I think I'd rather prefer to just keep it one meeting for now and then see the reaction, see how many people come out and how many people are submitting written comments before we extend it. Are you okay with those dates?
We're
Mike?
fine with that, Mr. Chairman. The dates are fine with us.
Okay,
And you'll be having a stenographer for that meeting so that we have.
Yes, Emily, we probably will. I usually use Karen Meester, Schmiener and Meester. So but we will arrange that if the board wants. That's not and pay for it. That's not a problem.
yes, please.
Okay. Thank you.
College is going to be affected. They're an interested party. And for the DEIS to come out in October and then to expect them to, by mid-November, in the middle of the semester, to come up with an adequate time to give a response to some of this, I disagree.
So you don't
I
think
think that
that
it needs to be,
2 full months
no, I don't.
is
That's,
enough?
no, I don't. I don't, because of when it is.
Right.
I think the college would need more time to actually respond if they actually take a look at it. It's in the middle of the semester like that.
So, okay, so you think
That's my opinion.
students themselves will.
Yeah,
will
and
be-
well, yeah, of course it affects the students. They
Yeah.
came out the last time this project was up, they came out on both sides, or the administration showed up in support of it. There were students who showed up against it.
Okay. Does anyone else on the board have a strong opinion on dates extending the time to accept public comments for this?
I mean, again, I'm new here. If this thing goes back 10 years, I can't imagine that the principals involved, the college, whatever, are not aware of it.
Administration.
I can't imagine they're not aware of it.
No, I can't.
They have countless professionals in the State University of New York. I can't even imagine.
I can.
I think for now, to start it with a month or whatever we have, 2 months, I think that's fine. Let's see how it goes.
question?
Yes.
Just because we hold a public hearing doesn't signal that we've made decisions about the project.
No, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
if we hold that, my concern is that because of where it is in the calendar, postponing it gets us like even sort of further into a difficult time. So for me, because I think I'm gonna need a lot of time and help figuring out the project and how I feel about it. If we had a public hearing, I would then have feedback to put into my own head to try and figure this stuff out. So I guess what I'm feeling is I kind of want to think of this as a, if you would, dress rehearsal. And then we would go with the open-minded idea that we would have another public hearing or whatever it would take to get it, but at least for me, I would have much more concrete information, or feel like it was more concrete information to analyze or to look at.
Okay.
I had
Yeah.
one thing too. I'm not sure I fully answered the question before I was describing the seeker process, but I just want to clarify too for everyone that after the seeker process concludes, which is the environmental review, and we've decided how the environmental impacts would need to be mitigated, there's still a lot of other processes that are going to involve their own public hearings. So the village has to determine, or the town has to determine, and the village, whether to do the annexation. So that'll, that'll be a public process. And then if all those things happen and it comes back to us for a site plan review, then we'll have our own public hearings on the site plan review. So, this isn't like the last chance anyone has to comment on it.
That's very helpful.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay, so it seems like we are mostly in agreement that having this timeline to start would be sufficient, and then if we do need an additional public hearing for this specific part of the process, then we can do that. I'd like to get a motion to approve the resolution as drafted.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Actually, is this something that we need a roll call vote for? Or?
Sure, it wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Autumn, did you mind?
I'll start with Ricky. Okay. All right. That's it. Sorry. All right, I'll go with it. Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, aye.
Aye. Okay, great. So that is on the calendar, and we look forward to seeing you there.
We'll work.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the board. I just want to reiterate again, and I'm sure that Tom George will make this known at one of the next meetings, that this developer is not the developer of the Wilmerite project. It is not the same people. It's not the same principles. It is a totally different entity with a totally different philosophy about how to approach this town, especially when it comes to asking for tax breaks, which they're not asking for any this time. And that was the thorn in the side in that last project. But I just want to make clear that it is not the same entity at all. So thank you to the board again for tonight.
Yes,
Um,
thank you very much.
I have one other thing that I'd like to bring up. I did read somewhere in, I don't believe it was in the draft environmental impact statement, but there was a letter from one of the principals, I think, of the project that addressed the issue of affordable housing. I am the chairman of the Affordable Housing Board, so it's from that perch that I guess I asked this question. It seems to me that this project, it says in the DEIS, and I'm not trying to hold anybody to anything here, but It said in there that this is exclusively for students. Is that true?
Absolutely not. You can't be exclusive. That's discriminating. So that's 100% wrong. I don't know where you read that, but this is an open property and project that's open to the general public, and a requirement of village law is a 10% affordable component, which will adhere to. So no.
That's great. I think that answers my question. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Did you have a?
I did, but now I don't remember.
Okay. Well, if it comes back to you, he's gonna address it. Like to go on to PB 2303 98 North Chestnut Street. Would you please come up? So we did receive some comments from DTS Provident. Did you get a chance to see those? And
Yes.
take a look at
Did you
those?
see both?
Both your traffic consultant?
No, both from DTS. The DTS sent one
yeah,
and
I
then they
believe
sent a revision.
He did send a follow-up. Let me.
The revision is very clear.
Mhm. Right. Okay. So, right, he says, in
I
light
can
of
summarize.
further review and understanding, is opinion that there are adequate mitigative measures in place should the initial opening proposed temporarily result in. He also adds additionally, the standalone use differentiates this application from the zero place use when compared to other prior high turnover use would not rise to the level of any significant adverse traffic impacts.
Which complements what Creighton Manning, our own traffic study, also presented to you.
Right, yeah.
It's going to be 25% less busier than the previous use.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. I also think, you know, the cannabis market that the village has been having for the last several weeks, months now has also reduced some of that, you know, initial surge that might otherwise have taken place.
Right.
So it's my opinion that the traffic plan now is adequate. Did any other board members have any questions or comments?
I still think that it just makes sense to me, given the fact that this is, in the purest sense of the word, this is a unique retail operation in our village. And given the uniqueness of it, I think there will be the potential for traffic. And I think that if the solution to that is to put the men and women of the town of New Paltz Police Department in the middle of a traffic issue that may have been avoided had we done a better job of planning for it, I think that's not a great idea. However, it's interesting to me that our consultant expressed the need for some kind of mitigation issues for months and then completely retracted and came up with a new opinion. Well, opinions are just that, ladies and gentlemen. They are opinions. They are not facts. We don't know what's going to happen. So in my opinion, we should plan to mitigate things that could happen, given the uniqueness of this situation. However, I'll defer to our consultant in his now second opinion of what might happen here. And I do apologize to the men and women of the police department if they end up on 32 directing traffic.
I'm not sure if we really have anything in writing expressing what the plan would be. So would that be a helpful thing for us to put into the record for the application, a plan as to how traffic will be directed or managed over the.
Do you mean
opening
for
days?
the initial
Yeah, for the
opening with,
initial opening. It's been talked
Well-
about, but I don't think it's in
well,
writing.
I was under the impression that it was not feasible to get like a contract with the police department, even though that's, understood that if there are.
So
issues-
we actually, given that new highlight, we actually reach out to the Plattekill PBA. So the PBA, what they do is they're off-duty police officers, who, if you can remember the Rib Fest and the Taste of New Paltz and all these other, highlights in the town, the PBA would go and support the traffic at these high traffic events. So we've reached out to the Plattekill PBA. They've confirmed, I have an email today that they're interested. I have a copy for you. That they're confirming that they will work with us during the grand opening. So we're not going to need I don't want to say we're not going to need the police department, right? But we are going to have our own traffic mitigation plan that involves the Plattekill PBA, which are off-duty police officers who are trained to mitigate traffic. And yeah, so I have that email here confirming that from the vice president. We do this in Kingston as well. So we manage the Kingston bus terminal. Here in New Paltz, we pay the New Paltz Police Department to mitigate traffic during high traffic times. In Kingston, we use the Kingston PBA. So that's where we're familiar with this. We've had a great success. It's been for a number of years that we use them. So now we're going to use the Plattekill PBA.
Okay, that sounds like a great alternative. Yes.
I live across the street. And so we have been very aware of, I don't even know how many, I didn't even know what was going on. It's just this past Sunday. And because I've come over here because sometimes there's music. So I didn't know what was going on. And there was nothing in any way disruptive, noisy, none of it. And we were home and went over when there was the first cannabis, whatever, in back of here.
Right.
And it was actually a very nice feeling. People were, first of all, it was people who mostly looked like us. So
It's mostly old
it was
people.
comfortable.
And they get lost. They're like, where's the dispensary?
So, maybe I'm naive, I don't know, but my sense of the world is that I don't understand why this wouldn't go just fine. So
Yeah.
I agree that we should, be aware of what could go wrong and know that there have been, that we know how to deal with or what to expect to deal with. But I didn't buy anything.
A lot of like jelly bean, it's a lot of products. It's
I
not-
don't know.
I looked at the list. It's expensive, but it's all kind, anything you can imagine.
If
Flavors.
we could get back to the matter at hand here.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't read the letter, but basically what you're saying is they will be there on opening day. You're not going to wait for a problem to develop and then call
Correct.
them. They'll be there.
Correct. They're confirming that in the event that when we do have an opening date and we plan for this and we have an expectation of how many men and women we may or may not need, they will provide us.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess, Emily, I'm wondering if, how could we structure the resolution approval to condition and?
We'll just write that in as a condition. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Just say that it's conditioned on,
So what's
I'll
the
have to look at
condition
that.
gonna say?
well, let's talk about that. I think it should say something like that.
Because we're not sure what we're gonna anticipate, right? Because first of all, I'm not the tenant, so I
Yeah.
don't know. It could be a soft opening, it could be a blowout grand opening, it
Yeah.
could be a very quiet opening. I'm not sure. So that's gonna really depend then on if we need one, if we don't, I mean. What we're saying is that if the tenant, if we're expecting a large crowds because of a large grand opening, we will have it. If the tenant is not going to do that, which they very might not do, because at the end of the day, this is still recreational marijuana, right? So they might just open quietly. I don't know. But what I'd like the resolution to say is, if it's a large grand opening and we're expecting a large crowd, we will provide. If it's not, then, to provide it for when we're not expecting that crowd seems, if we look at the numbers that the traffic study put out, it's 38 people an hour. Okay. This open market here is doing 600 people. Okay, right, it's very busy, 600 people. But it's 4 businesses, there's 4 farms here, so it's different. And there's no traffic issue.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, could there be wording that would address the, like unknowns of how many people would actually?
So my suggestion would be that we make it, that the building inspector, or we're kind of between building inspectors, but hopefully at that point, that the building inspector would approve the plan before issuing the CO. And because at that point, right, before you open, we'll have the building inspector approve
Sure.
the plan, because you won't want to come back to the planning board. for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And by that time, you'll know what
Yeah.
the
For
other plan will
sure,
look
yes, yes,
like. And,
yes.
okay, I like that solution. I
Yep.
think it should be
That's fair. Thank
based
you.
on, how they choose to do that first week, but I think, there should be someone on site initially.
Yeah,
No matter-
we're interested in doing it. We looked, we searched, we found. So we're ready.
You're gonna remove the tanks.
They're
all
already
the gas,
removed,
already-
been removed. Yep. That environmental was done by Stewart's.
Would you be willing to remove that footbridge? Would you be willing to close off that access to the park?
So that's actually a village footbridge. It's not on my
It's
property.
not on their property.
Okay, would you mind if the village closed?
Of course not. No,
Oh.
that's the village prerogative.
I would not be in favor of that. I think that's an important pedestrian connection that, and that's not going to be used mostly by people getting cannabis and then going to Moriello. I think that would end up just hurting people that walk
Looking for
and
a
bike
shortcut.
in this
But
village.
is that issue an issue that needs to be?
No,
It's,
that we're,
it's like not their business.
right, that's not on their property. It's.
I didn't realize it was not their property.
It connects to it connects
That's
to their
right.
parking lot. It connects their parking lot with the Moriello pool parking lot. And
Correct.
the kids used to go over there to buy ice cream from Stewart's. But they wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't have any reason. Now they have to go out and, out to Henry W to get it.
But I don't think we should include anything about that in
No,
the resolution.
No, it's not. No, they have no authority over it, so that's fine. Okay. I do have one more question. I was directed to an individual in the Office of Cannabis Management, whose name is Dan Brown. This is a New York State office. And I was directed to him because if I had any questions about opening that he could help me with it. One of the things he disclosed to me, and I'm disclosing it to the public, he said there's already a lease between an arm of New York State and you folks to operate a cannabis shop here in that property. Is that true?
No, not at all.
There's no lease at all.
No. There's a lease between us and the New York State, but they don't, I lease to New York State. What they do with the building, I don't know.
So
I'm here for a special use permit. Who I lease to, okay. New York State Cannabis Fund is leasing the building from me.
Okay.
This program is supposed to be part of a social justice program. It's called a CARD program. So the social justice program is for individuals who were affected by marijuana laws prior, okay? And this is helping them, regain their livelihood or something like that, right? So this is a social justice program. It's supposed to benefit the community. It's supposed to help individuals who've been affected by prior marijuana laws that have now been repealed. And as far as that's as far as I know. I deal with the state. I don't know who they're going to rent to, or how they run it. I just know that the state is interested in, is my leasing.
All right, the reason I bring this up
Sure.
very clearly is for the public,
Yeah, that's fine.
so that they know there is a lease between you and New York State,
That's
and that lease has no bearing whatsoever on how I rule or how I vote on this application. I don't care if there's a lease. It makes no difference to me whatsoever.
okay.
Okay. So with that in mind, I'd like to get a motion to authorize our attorney to draft the resolution of approval, including the specific condition that we just discussed.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, okay. Thank you for
Thank you for
coming
the
in and for providing this.
Yes,
and,
thank you for your time.
yeah.
Thank you.
See you soon. Okay, I'd like to move on to PB 2315, 54 and 60 Huguenot Street. Hello.
So I did submit electronically plats, and I brought 2 copies for you, Autumn. Would you like one open, or do you have them on? the screen?
Yeah, if you could
Sure.
put one out here for us to take a look at. I mean, I remember what you showed us last time, but
Right, so this is a refresher. and then if you want to hear that,
yeah, I was here.
We are trying to create a reburial space for 3 Lenape tribal nations. As a follow-up to our filing of the Native American Grave Protection and Repatriation Act, where we returned archaeological human remains and sacred objects to the Stockbridge Munsee tribe, which is now based in Wisconsin. Their plan is to have a reburial space on our property once we do this lot line adjustment. And basically what that area would actually be in this part of our property. You may know our stone church, the Chris Bell Memorial Stone Church, which is a reproduction church from the 1970s that is adjacent to a European burial ground on Huguenot Street. And there are also some European reburials just below the church that were put in later. So what we're really trying to do is to make this all one burial ground in order to protect the reburial ground for the tribe and incorporate it where the existing European reburials are, and also extend it to the primary burial ground, just as a protective measure. We did get the plats drawn by Margaret Hilregel, and she thought it was very straightforward. No issues. We submitted the application, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay.
These are human remains that were dug up somewhere else.
The,
And they're.
the ones that we repatriated were discovered on our property. So they are going back to where they, and they are fragmentary. We're not talking about the complete skeletal remains. However, there will also be, they'll be allowed to rebury any other remains that are found as part of construction projects in this region. They have reburial grounds, one up by Albany, one down by the city, but they don't have them for the Hudson Valley, and they like to reinter them as close to where they were found as possible. So we would be providing that space for them.
So does this, I mean, I see this is less than 25 feet setback is, I mean,
Building anything.
Yeah, we're not building anything. This,
okay.
that's right. Yeah, no structures going up at all. It's an open space, and there won't even be individual markers placed. That's our hope. That's actually the plan.
No, yeah, I recognize that.
So, and actually this area, which is right behind that barn's kind of located behind 1799 brick facade house.
Mhm.
So that's part of that property, and that barn will stay as part of that property. This will be kind of a no man's land, just lawn area. And then the back of that lot is where the reburial space would be.
Yeah,
along the tree
yeah,
line.
I understand. But I don't know, when you're doing a lot line revision, don't you still have to follow the setbacks? Is
Yeah, I
it-
don't know if that creates I'll have to look at what the rear line setback is, just so that we're not creating a non-conformity. If the barn needs to be a certain distance from the rear lot line, then we want to make sure that we have that distance.
I mean, here it says on the both table, the rear yard setback should be 25 feet, the minimum requirement. And
And it's just under.
Just a hair under.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't see that being an issue, but
I would like to think that we would do whatever we could to accommodate this, because I think it's a right thing to do.
absolutely. But unfortunately,
understand.
sometimes we
I
have to
know.
just follow the code.
I mean, maybe it
I
can
mean,
just
could you
be.
just move
Yeah.
it along a little bit to comply with that harmony of the, I mean, the remains, if you say they're just fragmentary.
Now, I don't know if she had her, I showed her roughly on that Andros map I brought to the last meeting, the rough idea of where that line would be. I don't know if she had a technical surveying reason to make that the line.
Yeah, right.
So there's the 25 from the back to the back lot line is needed, is what you.
Right, this measurement
Well,
here.
that's what it says on the plan. I'm looking at the code right now, but the statement on the plan is that it's 25.
Yeah, it's R3 residential historic, yeah.
I mean, it's a variance, but I'm just thinking, we might have a couple other questions, so it might just be something for you to ask your engineer. If that could just be changed slightly so that we're
Mhm.
not creating a non.
So to go from 24.71 to 25.
It's literally.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any other problems with it. I think, I'm
And
strongly in support of
the idea.
this, yeah.
If there's a technical reason she can't do it, we then have to get a variance. Is that the idea? Or round up?
Yeah.
We just round up.
Yeah.
Well, can I just ask the other two questions that I had about this?
Yeah, please.
So I was looking over the plat. We haven't had a building inspector do a zoning code review, but my own observation, just looking over it, it looked pretty complete. The things I noticed were that I wanted to ask if all the utilities that exist are shown on there. I don't see many utilities, but there may not be. Is there water or electricity to those buildings?
Including the bricks house,
Yeah.
there is water.
So any utilities
Yeah.
that exist there need to be shown on the plan?
Okay. Even though the proposed lot has no
The
utilities.
2 lots are being subdivided,
Yeah.
so those 2 lots need to.
Okay.
Need to show the utilities.
Okay,
And then, the other thing is that you show the neighbors, the property owning neighbors around
mhm.
the exterior, but not across the street, and we need to.
Those are our properties.
Oh, okay, all right.
We own those. There's 2
Just-
houses across the street that we own.
That's fine.
Okay.
Because just for notice, we'll
Yep.
have to notify all the neighbors, so
Mhm.
if it's you, then that's
Yep,
fine.
okay, okay. So she needs to mark the utilities for both lots and we'll address the setback being under 25.
Yeah.
That,
I
right?
think that's
Okay.
everything, right?
Yeah, and
anything else?
because it's such a minor subdivision, it's only 2 lots that are affected. There's a expedited process in the code for that.
Great.
So you don't need to go through the preliminary plat stage.
Okay,
Once we have a complete plan, we can set a public hearing and go ahead with that. And
Wonderful.
approve the final subdivision without second round.
okay.
Yeah.
So if I send Autumn the complete with the utilities.
Yeah.
Then we can just go right to public hearing if we get that. in.
At the next meeting.
Yep.
I mean, the board will have to vote
Yeah.
for it, but yeah.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
I think we got it.
Okay, thank you very much. Autumn, do you want these or do you want to wait for the complete?
Okay, next up is PB 22-10, 11 Water Street.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
How would you guys like to set up so that everybody can see it?
Yeah, that's fine. I think.
Either way.
Um, So I guess, you want to start out with any revisions that have been made since the last time, or
Yes, we
any
made,
discussions?
yeah, a lot of revisions. I think we can probably start with our the traffic report from the engineer, and, you know, how we addressed those concerns of him for the site plan, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to go item by item? How do you want to do it?
Sure,
We
yeah.
just got the letter last week, so we prepared a draft response. And then get some feedback from tonight, and prepare something more formal.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, that's great.
So we can go through, we can take the comments as they are. So one of the first comments was that the number of driveways to the site. And we were asked to provide some justification relative to the fact that there are 3. So just as a refresher, there are 3 individual driveways, but they're not all full movement driveways. The one to the north is in only, that's the one on the right side. The one in the center is full access. And then the one,
This is in only,
right,
this is in and out,
correct?
and this is out only.
Out only. The reason for the number of driveways is the site is very shallow. It doesn't go back very far, and when you put a building against the rail trail, you're left with a relatively small area for which to circulate and provide the parking. So the reason for the northerly entrance is so that people have the ability to get to the parking on the north side of the building where there is a lot of parking. From that point south, it's really a one-way southerly flow. So if you were to enter at the central driveway, you would not be able to access the northerly part of the site. But that is a key location from which to enter. based on the alignment of the intersection and how everything lines up there. We also need it for the circulation of loading and emergency vehicle access. So we're prepared to, explain all that in writing. Does the board have any questions about that? I'm happy to go into it further. I don't want to take up too much time.
About this, but I find that the renderings are just useless because they don't show in any way the terrain. You've got a situation where you have like a deep basin and steep uphill and it's just, it doesn't look anything like the site whatsoever. So you're making it look like it's just a flat building and the trail goes behind it. And it's nothing like what it would look like.
I'm kind of confused. I know it is a flat building and it's a flat piece of property.
No, the back part of the flat, the way you have it, it's in a deep depression. I just walked around it today. The difference in the height of
The topography of it, sure.
like what, up at the second story of it, or how would that, it doesn't look like, it's a very steep hill. This looks like it's.
It does show the second story. What you're saying
I
is,
know, but what I'm saying is in relationship to the terrain, the building, it makes it look as though it doesn't look anything like what that spot looks like.
should we stay with, should we just stay with the comments about where we're going?
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying
But
that-
yeah, this is just a rendering, okay? It's just for visual, but we have been adjusting this as the site plan has been changing. And, there are definitely certain things that we are going to correct even further as we go. But again, it's really just a rendering. And like I said, we're going to keep working through it. And the next time we see you, we'll probably have, even a more accurate read on, even the sidewalk that's being proposed that's going to come up, but also the views in respect to, if there's a view that you feel like you'd want to see differently, there are a few different views here that show the building from different angles. So we could, from the top of the rail trail, okay, do that view down onto the property so that you see the sidewalk, which you're speaking about, and the topography that drops down quite a bit. We probably could even show you what would you call that? The culvert that empties out into the Wallkill. We could probably even show that. That would help.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
You
could do
are
that.
opening that's gonna stay open.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not.
Nice.
No. Absolutely. We have no intention of touching that at all. Aside from the sidewalk, building the sidewalk up along the road.
I think, Rachel, if there are specific views that you would like to see or specific features, topographic features, or whatever that you want to see in the renderings, having just like sending an email to us with a list of those so we can get
Even a picture would help
Oh, I
us
took
to.
a lot of pictures today.
Oh, great. So even a picture will help us to give you a view. Yeah,
Sure.
that's easy enough. Easy enough.
Yeah. But moving on through the traffic issues.
Okay, so that was the number of driveways. So we have recount that: northerly driveway, ingress only; central driveway, full; southerly driveway, egress only. There was a comment about identifying where the loading zone. So the loading zone will be at the southeast corner of the building. So it would be on the far. Someone could just point that out. It'll be down there, and that's where refuse will be picked up. Okay.
On the other side of.
Correct.
South side of the building, right.
The next comment asked for turning templates to basically demonstrate that the site can be circulated by the design vehicle. So we're prepared to submit the necessary documentation that shows passenger vehicle cars, the delivery vehicles that are expected to visit this site on the maps to show that the site is workable. We do believe we're going to need to make some specific directions relative to the loading and the vehicles coming to the site. The site, as I mentioned, is shallow, so the intended flow for deliveries would be to come from the north and make a right turn in. So.
You want to see this a little bit closer?
Yeah, might be helpful. This a little bit. So what we anticipate happening is a delivery vehicle will come from the north and either enter the first driveway, or they could use the central driveway and circulate down to the loading zone. And then leave via the southerly driveway. That's the intended flow. It works best from a site layout perspective. Otherwise, you would need to essentially have a 180-degree maneuver on the site. So
Yeah.
that's how we anticipate the loading to work.
I mean, is it possible for larger vehicles to turn into here from Mohawk Ave, or is that not?
This movement can happen, and this movement can happen. We believe that this is where most of the vehicles will come from. It connects to the center of town.
And this was also guided, we did this whole situation with the size of the emergency trucks that were going to come in and out, where this becomes a mountable curve, where emergency vehicles can come and actually drive across it if they need to. I mean, we were hoping that we could have some vegetation there, but it seems that emergency vehicles are super important, as they are. But, we were talking about it today, if there could be like even a synthetic lawn here, like just at the top of the curve to give it a little bit of color would be great. But I think, we did have an idea, instead of doing this here, any type of vegetation here, we do have the vegetation over here, and we've also, we have a landscape actual plan in here that shows what this vegetation would be. What we haven't discussed yet is the possibility of us doing standoffs with a grate in front of the building, where we can actually grow vegetation. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but you can grow vegetation up the side of it, up the side of the building. The nice thing about this building too is you can see from the topical view, which really is kind of from the Water Street Market Hotel. That was what that view originally was. That's how we got that view. Is you could see the living roof that's there, so there'll still be some greenery, which is green on the roof. Yeah, green on the roof. There'll be green on the lower roof. If we did some kind of standoff here, there'd be some green on the front. Yes.
The white things on the walls, exterior walls, is that what they'll be?
So those walls are, it's like a cedar. Yeah, cedar, but it's a sun baked cedar. So originally it'll be a cedar color. Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah. So it's a combination of real wood, and then if you see the black here, this was the idea was to be party board.
Is to be
Party board.
What is that?
Party board's a masonry composite siding that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. We had plans to install that there. And this was going to be all standing seam roof, standing seam metal roof. This was going to be living roof. And then this was going to be vertical cedar.
And the cedar, what we're showing there is a cedar aged.
So whatever it does, it'll look natural.
We do that in our existing buildings. When we built them, our cedar, and within 3 years?
Yeah,
they start to go gray.
It changes depending on where the sun is, where the sun is hitting it, but it is natural. Yeah. We didn't even treat that. There was no treatment on that cedar. It just went. Yeah. It's graying naturally.
All right. Were there any other things about the traffic flow or changes to the traffic plan?
One more question. Will the delivery trucks, when they exit, will they be able to head back north? Can they make that turn?
Yes.
They can.
I mean, I think it's based on what the emergency vehicles were able to do as well.
Okay.
The delivery truck should be able to do it.
All right.
Yeah, we'll submit the documentation, but we're looking at a very, very large box truck, and that vehicle can make that sweep. Intersection's fairly large here, which plays to the advantage.
Right.
But the only other thing I wanted to add is that in our submission, I believe it, Solomon, correct me if I'm wrong, but we also did, one of the comments from August was about pedestrian flows. We did prepare a pedestrian flow map that went in with the submission, just to address that comment, because I think it was a little unclear where pedestrians would be coming from out of the building and where they could connect to. So we made that as well.
So as part of that,
Yeah.
would you be able to give us a walk around?
Sure. I mean, was that?
You mean like to visit the property or to, yeah, absolutely.
See what, because with all.
I would be happy
This
to.
is the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'd be happy to do that. You know, whatever works for you guys, we'd be happy to meet up with you and do a walk around.
Yeah,
Really
construction.
important to
All right.
me because
I mean,
I do walk down that way.
Okay.
I do a lot of walking, so I might walk down there to then walk out on the street or
Yeah.
on the whatever, and so
Sure.
I want to know that I can keep walking.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. It's,
So
we're, I don't know how we go about scheduling a time to do a walkabout, walking tour, but we'd love to
Yeah,
do that.
we can schedule something with the whole board.
I walked by there today just to check it out again. And it's very difficult to walk up Mohawk Avenue. It's just dangerous the way it is.
Yeah, that's what to change it, yeah.
I don't know if there's any way, like you consider a pedestrian bridge or something like that. I don't know. But,
Well,
Mohawk, are you
either
talking?
either to Mohawk or from across from Water Street, because it's.
what would be just trying to understand what the
Like
what the
a,
need is.
like a pedestrian crosswalk you're talking?
I guess that might.
For whom? But this is a hotel, so,
Oh.
but
well,
what pedestrians are we catering to? Just, it would connect to the hotel? I'm just trying to
No,
understand.
but from my
People-
vantage
people
point, it
across
would
the
be
street.
pedestrians who live in New Paltz, who
People
live
walk
in the
across the
area.
street.
coming
Well, yeah,
from-
so I think the rail trail actually connects most pedestrians to the.
Right up here.
to the- Got it.
Crossing right there, there's a crosswalk between.
Sure.
Street Market, even in the rail trail there.
Yeah.
The curve right there it's not great for a pedestrian, even just to walk across the crosswalk there to get from the Water Street Market, just from that corner there over to the rail trail.
So if I might add, Rachel, there's, right now, you're right, it's, the building's right up against the road. It's like you have to walk to the middle of the street to see if there's a car coming so that you don't get run over, right? So once that's gonna all change, this whole sight line is gonna completely open up.
It's a
It's gonna
building.
be a totally different sight line than it is right now. This building is way set back to the rail trail, so I think it's gonna actually become a lot more safer than it was, or than it is right now.
Can you show them, Jesse, where the building actually exists today? Today, no, on that.
It's on the plan.
So, but if you just show like,
Oh,
it's like
yeah,
up here.
Just to point it out. It's like.
I mean, it's not closer.
It's like right here.
So the building's
Yeah,
way.
so setback. That's not Mohawk, this is Mohawk, right? Right. This is Water Street, and then Mohawk's here?
Yep.
Right,
This is the exit of the parking lot that exists. There's a stop sign right there.
yes, stop sign right there,
Building
yeah,
is
that's
right.
right, exactly, it's
It's
right
right.
on. That's where this
And it's-
mountable curve is where the building.
Marked on the plan there, it should be shown. Should be a little.
You can actually see this dotted line, is that the dotted line we're talking about? No, it's not.
Yes, right there.
Is it?
This,
This
yep,
dotted line.
that
right
line
there.
right there is the existing.
That's the
building.
existing building. Yeah, we still walk it.
On
Yeah.
that stage,
I got
I'm
it.
curious.
I got it. We'll go walk. I like to walk.
well,
It's really like 30 feet.
Yeah.
setback.
okay. I guess before we get too far into the weeds here, I'd like to talk about the Gateway District Development Standards and your narrative on that. I was reviewing these more closely in the last few weeks and feeling like there were some pretty large issues that weren't addressed by this plan, unfortunately. Obviously, it's a really challenging site. Really difficult to fit everything in there and conform with the code, but it's super important. It's part of our gateway district. It's you know, one of the most heavily trafficked areas of the village. I really, you know, based on these standards, I don't think the current like sea of asphalt is conforming to this gateway district standard. And I know that part of that was dictated by, you know, the fire department.
Yes, correct.
That's something that like I'm going to discuss with our fire chief and maybe see if there are any other ways we can get around that. You know, maybe having an opening aligned with Pencil Hill so they could just come straight down Pencil Hill or something. But I really believe in order to be more, you know, conforming to the zoning, that there should be more landscaping, you know, shielding the parking. There should be, you know, fewer spaces, or ideally, you know, no spaces along here, and that the parking should all be shifted to the edge and the building shifted down to the south, so that the frontage is much more on the street and less of, you know, that like, you know, strip mall parking effect where you have just cars blocking the view and no sheltering, you know, no sort of landscaping or anything to shelter that parking view.
I mean, listen,
Also-
we're all for the landscaping.
love
We like the landscaping for sure.
Yeah.
We like the tree, you know, we had plans for like some really nice tree. We're working with a landscape architect, she, you know, a friend and
Okay.
and a mentor to me for years. And, you know, she had a very sweet plan for this. So I'd
And
love to
so-
hear
So
about
it's
that.
all being kind of dictated right now by this fire.
Emergency
fire-
services, correct.
Okay.
Can I
So,
just add specifically the quote from the code. So
oh
that we
yeah,
know-
please.
So what it says is, all parking area, this is the development district standards for the Gateway District. All parking areas must be sited behind the structure. Where parking is visible from a side street, a planting buffer must be established adjacent to the street.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it be something that would be easy to drive over? Like if it's an emergency, we just drive over.
We said that.
We're okay with that.
We had that
And we
conversation.
would just replace the plants.
We even said that any sort of damage that was done, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, right.
Just run it over.
The concern, however, was the truck sinking into the ground.
The tire actually is, yeah, the fire truck's tire sinking into the ground.
That was that was the reason why we ended up having to go that way.
Because we were,
That was
you
a
know, we had
concern.
grasses, we had,
Support trees and.
Well,
but that's why I was talking about the grid and the standoffs and the living roof. From the topical view, from the parking lot above at the Water Street Market, you're looking down on green. I mean, for the most part, the people that are going past our building are driving. They're not,
Exactly.
you know, and then on the rail trail side, we have, you know, we've identified all these trees that we also have a program, and we have from our tree feeding unit that we work with now, we have, which we'll also submit with everything that we're going to submit here, is a plan to take care of these trees on the township's property and Wallkill Valley Land Trusts.
Yeah, that's great.
One of the,
So-
Zach, I was thinking like maybe when you talk to the fire chief.
Yeah.
The idea is like, you know, he has 100% of it a mountable curb. I mean, how much room does he really need? If it's like, you know, if maybe the ends stay shallow,
Right.
and passable, where the middle pieces can put vegetation in, because I think that was, I mean, I really can't foresee any issue where in that terrible situation where there's a fire, they're gonna need all of this to drive over. You know, it's, you know, they're coming down, they can get in there.
I agree. You know, as long as they can enter from Mohonk Ave, and Pencil Hill safely, like.
If I may, the comment with that was, as it was told to me, we can't tell him where he has to come from.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's what he said.
That's exactly what it was
Those were his
about.
words.
There's multiple roads there. and
It
just
He
has to be
needs,
available.
the
He has
fire
to be
trucks
able to
need to
come.
get in no matter what.
Each of those 4 possible roads should have a, you know,
An angle.
an easy angle, but I don't know, I would still think that we could figure out, some
Well-
areas in between there
I think that there's worlds where that grid and the standoff from the building, you know, and we're able to grow vegetation at the front of the building is gonna change the look of the entire property to the street, to the people that are just passing by in their cars.
Sure. So is there a preliminary landscape plan in here?
I mean, it's not preliminary. This has gone through a couple of different reiterations, but sure.
Yeah.
I must say that I am like really excited about the possibility that you could also actually change this whole thing and make it yet another lovely place to work.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's seeming less and less likely, but having a sidewalk along here would be amazing, but, so is there any?
Where were you saying?
The sidewalk, the mountable curb becoming a sidewalk, not. We discussed that too, but I don't know that that's like a mountable curb. If that works, I don't know that works.
I've seen them. I mean, I don't see why not, but
They could have a slopable.
they have to be
sloped
5 feet
curbs,
wide.
right?
Now we have a 5, that we're already constricted with space. That's at 3 feet wide.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention, I got an email today from the village engineer who said that he and the DPW superintendent were still wanted to look at the road access and utility issues along the road frontage. So maybe we just need some kind of a meeting with the people that are concerned about the road frontage to kind of pull this together between the fire department and the DPW.
Yeah.
Because it seems like if we change one thing, it might affect somebody else's review.
Well, actually, you know, we did meet with the DPW too, and with Blue, and you know, he had the plans and thought about it for quite some time. And that's, he actually then gave it to the emergency services and
Right.
Corey, right?
Yeah.
Corey, yeah, fire chief, and then he had it for some time. You know, there's the water main that we were moving out, right? So that was part of, you know, what we were agreed to do, so that it's off our property and there would never be a problem if there was a water main break, that there'd be a car parked over it and that person was out on the rail trail. And so this way it'll be in the street and then they'll just be able to access it. So that was one of the things that we, you know, we discussed, and then the mountable curb was the second major.
Input in real time, but the other people we've talked about, we may just need to set up an offline meeting with.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I would like to talk to Corey and maybe Blue in
Yeah.
person about this.
But you want to see it first with them showing us what they have in mind, so,
Isn't
yeah.
this what they have in mind?
But I mean,
That can envision
physically
that.
going and seeing.
Oh, I'm familiar with this site.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't-
yeah.
Did they mention the street backs up? When there's a heavy rain? you go across the street from the property, I'm just letting you know.
As in, oh, by the
I
way.
went by the way, I had spoke to one of the neighbors and they said, you know, oh, be careful, don't let your dog step there, it's white and lye, they throw lye down, they have sewage backs up, it's raw sewage, you know. It was described as poop and tampons, so I would just be aware that that's.
Sure.
When it's heavy rain, apparently they did improve on it, it used to be a lot, and now it's just every time it's heavy rain, it goes every time it rains.
Sure. Yeah, you know, and I'm not gonna speak out of turn here, but the difference in what's there now, where the water is just running right into the street. So the difference of what we're gonna do with stormwater retention is gonna be a lot, you know, a lot more sophisticated plan, which is, I think we already have.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the plan is already in.
That's easy conditions.
You know, the living roof, you know, will maintain and time release the stormwater. There's also, so you want to go through the stormwater retention?
Yeah, sure. Basically, we're gonna capture the water here, here, and here, and then flow it to the channel that comes out there, and here, here, and here, and also flow it to the channel. So
Around the entire building.
95% of the water will be flowing off the site this way.
Not taxing the system. There's a lot of,
Usually receiving that much water from the system.
right. That's, so they're, you know, the water's got no place to go, right? So we're now going to direct it and also hold on to it on the roof, you know, for a time. You know, it's a sedum, you know, lightweight soil and succulent plant mixture that sucks in the water and holds it for a time. Not just spilling it off of a roof side and into the street.
But the landscape plan for saying, does it show the planting around the building?
It shows this is the new part of the landscape plan based on what we have at that side of the building.
Yeah. And
There is no landscape plan here. The standoff is not here. It could be, we could add it. It's fine. I'm happy to do that because I love the look of that anyway.
I guess this is now a pedestrian walkway, so you can't have something there, you can't have any, you know, minimum for ADA.
Right.
There might be planter box opportunities or something.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be planter box opportunities that, you know.
Your idea is like to block this?
Yeah, to whatever degree is possible.
I mean, it could be here, creating like the parking space, right? There's something here, at least it's large. That's gonna be open, because that needs to be passed by cars. But there and there, we could definitely figure something out. Just to
Okay, I mean,
This is also like, what's the width between basically, it's like 26? 26. Couldn't that be 24 feet? Like,
Your code says 26, but if you will let us go down from that.
we're happy to add more vegetation.
We're playing on your rule book.
Yeah.
yeah, it's.
We're trying to, yeah,
Maybe we could add some vegetation along here as well.
yeah, I mean, we'll have,
I hate to poison the well with the front vegetation, but typically it has to be lower than 42 inches, so it doesn't block the sight line for a driver. So that's the other constraint. So this most likely needs to be 42 inches and lower and maintained it.
Yeah. I
So
mean, that's not opposed to even, 42 inches.
yeah, I'm trying to set expectations that not bamboo, you know, even though that would be a cool look.
this is just the painted
I'm not allowed to.
off across the parking area.
One,
Well, I mean,
Like a birch tree. One tree is okay because it's tended out to like a utility pole or a street light, but
Yeah,
having a
okay.
wall where you're field of vision is completely blocked is the issue.
But I always kind of envisioned it that way too, where it was like, like an
Sporadic.
like.
That's kind of how we originally saw it.
And I think that can still
Right.
And that's
exist
shown as
if
well.
we just keep.
But you're also coming,
You're coming down.
you're coming down, right? So yeah, so you're coming down, this is the 42 inch, not higher than 42 inches when you're coming down that hill.
Right.
You have like a tremendous sight line here that we don't have now. But these are plants that were, you know, selected by our landscape architect
To keep it low.
to keep it low.
Yeah.
But
I'm fine with
elegant.
low. I
Yeah.
just want something.
Sure.
Yeah, so wait, yeah,
Listen, if someone could help advocate for, I think what we're all trying to accomplish.
more landscaping would be great.
Would really love that.
But I think this grid in the standoffs is a pretty good solution. I've seen it work. So there's such a thing called this, like you can fasten a standoff to the side of a building. And then then there's a metal grid on, that's standing off the building by like 6 inches or so. And below it, right at the ground, there are sometimes potted plants or they're like vines, and then the vines grow up along. Rather than growing on the building, they actually grow on the standoff. They grow on the grid that's off the building. So that gives like a really nice visual as people are going by, and could mitigate this need for landscaping at the front. I know, but it's, yeah.
Well, my feeling is that if, given what it looks like now, much of this, however much you can, I mean, there's plenty of room to experiment and make better what's there. And I'm saying this as someone who walks by there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But obviously, safety is
No doubt.
Okay, well, I think that, I need to have some of these conversations with our fire chief and DPW, and maybe then we can come back to you with some specific solutions about how to reduce the amount of mountable curb here and how we could fit some more in. I guess, what were the other, excuse me, can you please move outside if you're having, can you please move outside if you're having a conversation? Thank you. But for now, like, we can review the landscape plan as it is, the drainage study. Seems like you address a lot of Carlito Holt's CTS Providence suggestions. Were there any specific comments that you wanted to like ask him while he was here, or any other like outstanding?
No, I think the comments were pretty clear. We don't have any, there's nothing ambiguous that we need to go over tonight. The way we see it is we'll submit formally, and then although we may want to, if there is a meeting that does change the game in the front, that could change how we address some of the comments relative to circulation. So we're prepared in draft, but if that meeting gets calendared in the next week or so, I would say we would hold this back a little bit.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Just so they're, they're aligned.
In terms of other outstanding issues, what is the status of the rail trail access? Do you have approval from the Walker Valley Land Trust? And
So, no, actually, we do not. What we do have is we have adjusted our property to basically you can walk up the stairs to the edge of our property. And then we're proposing this path across their land. We're also proposing this railroad track and interpretive signage for the time that it was there, the railhead for this particular building when it was in its manufacturing stage. But if, we keep changing the, plan, we can't, we're not gonna go to the Wallkill Valley Land Trust until we know very specifically that this is going to work. But what we do have is we do have our stairwell now on our property, okay, to the edge of our property. And if there was going to be an issue with the tracks that, that are there today, along with the path, we would just do nothing and let people walk up our stairs and then walk across the land and onto the rail trail.
Connections between the rail trail and private properties require a special use. So I think we do need to have that approval ultimately with the village and the rail land trust. But it may be premature at this stage if you're waiting for more details.
Correct.
And is that just if there is a path?
Connections between, yeah, and that's how.
But like right now, there's a path from the street itself that people just walk over there.
Yeah, that's an existing
It's been
condition.
going on
That's
for
not.
40 years.
I can check with the village attorney on that.
As I understand it, I mean, I think it's just a matter of getting with the Wallkill Valley Land Trust.
Yeah.
And we're not, I think they were more concerned with us, and we've adjusted the plan. They don't want any commercial, basically, they don't want any commercial improvements on their property. So we had parking spaces on their properties. They're like, no. They said we had patio on their property. They're like, no. So we backed everything off to our property line, which is fine. We're okay with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess.
And like I said, we have the plan to maintain the trees along that path as well. So sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, so the same goes for the village review, the parts of the plan that are encroaching into village property. You're waiting to.
We're gonna wait until, right, exactly. And as soon as we, know we have a solid path forward, that's when we'll have conversation. Well, we'll rekindle the conversation with them because we've made adjustments along the way to have the plan be acceptable.
Yeah. And has this gone before the Historic Preservation Commission?
We did. We spoke to them. We had 2 or 3 meetings. Kim?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, they gave us their approval and I believe they submitted a letter saying such.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed that. Yeah.
It was a while ago. It was probably last year sometime.
Right. Has the exterior changed much since then, or mostly stayed the same?
No, all the material.
It's the same.
I'm surprised they approved it, given some of the features that you've chosen. I was especially noting, seems like you've chosen double hung windows on the front of the building.
Right. So the idea was that I explained to them was on the street side, it was more traditional double hung windows, things like that would tie it more into the village. And then on the rail trail side, it's more sort of nature oriented, larger windows with the view. And they said it was great. And they in fact even said, if you guys want to try to go to make it taller, we would support that. And we said, no, we just want to try to do it this way.
And what was the comment about the different sections, Kim?
Oh, yeah, yes, and the idea, sorry, it was so long ago when I did it, but the idea is to break up the mass of the building. And so that's hence the, some different roof lines and different window patterns, things like that, different materials. We're trying to get some, we've got some clapboard and then some verticals, that kind of thing. And and that helps to break it up as well.
As well as the gables that they asked us to add, right?
Yeah, they did ask us to add a few things. We added the two small gables at the top and, but there really wasn't a lot that they asked us to do. They seemed to really like it. It was, it's unique to the area. The idea is that it's the transition between downtown and sort of, where it starts to become more rural. And, so the idea was to have a transition with that, but still ties it back to the village style.
They also, and it also gives an honor to what is there now. The building had been added on to over the years. And if you look at it now, there were multiple additions on that, Kim.
Right, and actually the height of the existing top of the ridge of the existing building is about what ours will be, only ours has more floors to it. So it's a pretty big building that's there. The footprint, I think, is like 15,000 square feet and our footprint is 7 or something.
Yeah, just about that, like 14,000.
Yeah.
Which this footprint is now what, 7,500?
No, I think it's 7,500.
That's what I meant, 7,500. So it's about half of what it is now. The footprint itself.
Right.
Yeah, so 7,400 is the footprint.
Okay. Are there any other issues the board wanted to raise? Any other questions you had before moving forward?
I actually see it, but right now.
Yeah, we will definitely, schedule a site visit soon. So hopefully that will help you visualize things a little more. And Rachel, certainly if you could send some, or just, specific views that you think would help visualize it.
The most striking thing about that property is the height differential. Just the most striking thing about it.
Yeah, which we also, I don't know if we developed the Woodstock Way, and that property had lots of height differences.
Market, one of the beauties of Water Street Market is that they're set into the landscape, they've got the fountain coming down, and then they have the balcony that comes out, and it just, it looks like it, even though it didn't maybe at first to a lot of people, it looks like it belongs there. And it's, it's visually somewhat interesting. And then they have that section between them and the rail trail, is all flowers, all plants with flowers and little.
Yeah, it's
And
nice.
they certainly have access in the past, so right from the rail trail up into the cafes. So we could say, huh?
Paths, yeah.
That go from you can walk from the rail, you can go up onto the back porch of the different cafes and the puddle and the cheese place. And
Sure.
You can go, you can actually access them from the back.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Well, I guess I'd like to ask, do you think we should be moving forward with seeker at this time, or
We should probably get the
get
layout square first.
some more clarity from our other departments here. So, yeah, apologize, we can't, move into that phase quite yet, but I will schedule that meeting as soon as possible and
Greatly
get you
appreciate
the
it.
details on, if there's anything we can do to include that parking area in front. Seems like that's kind of holding everything up until we can finalize that.
We're good at getting creative, so I feel like if he gives us some way, we can definitely get.
We basically followed to the letter of his report. Corey's report and the Blues report. So, if there's some movement in it, we're all ears.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your time, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, this is not the good time for. If you'd like to submit a written comment, we'll be more than happy to do that.
Here earlier, more public comment, I didn't be able to speak. Particular item on the agenda. This is, virtual.
No, I didn't say if you could speak. I think you said that.
Seems to me that if you have transparency, that these gentlemen took the time to come here, I took the time as a citizen to come here. What I'd like to know is, did they do any environmental review of the site? That is the.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I know that it was.
We absolutely did. And we're happy to talk more about it.
Well, I also, if you want to put your general public, whatever it is you're talking about, in context, if it comes or you don't know, you know what you're talking about, but you don't know, and you're going to be able to speak on a particular topic.
Yes.
During that topic. I've never seen it before when you get up, you do a public study, you refer what the testimony is. And if that's, for instance, the first time I heard the program, then it drains out into the river. It's a question of whether.
Have you never walked by the site? Yeah, I'm sorry, we cannot have this at this stage, but please come back. You can make a public comment at every meeting.
Thank you.
Hi, so, just for time purposes, TrailLink is the next project, but if we could switch Baxter, because I think it's gonna take longer with TrailLink.
I just want to reverse.
Yeah, if we could just reverse, I'm the attorney for both of them.
Okay, sure.
We could do that with you guys.
Sure. Which one are we doing?
You're doing TrailLink, 137 North Chestnut. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Baxter, 145 North Chestnut. So, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh my
That is a
goodness.
change.
Yes, that's the
That
change.
is.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Dolan.
Sure, please. That's my father. Go right ahead.
So just to start things off, we had a few comments at the last meeting, which was back in August, I believe. And we closed the public hearing and we received some additional comments from the board. We addressed those comments in our September 11th, 2023 letter. And then unfortunately, there's due to a lack of quorum, we weren't able to present the last meeting. But so we just have some updates related to the site plans. We've incorporated the New York State DOT comments for the write-in, write-out on the property,
Which is on the north entrance.
north entrance, and received we received their
Not by the
approval,
car wash,
not
the other side of the car.
We have a conceptual approval letter from DOT relative to that, which we did not have in our August meeting. And so that was a follow-up item.
Okay.
And in order for them to give that, they required that northerly driveway to be right in, right out only, which we were comfortable with. And you can see now, there's a triangular median island there.
Yeah.
Which will physically restrict left turn movements.
So no one can make the left.
Do you want to take a look, Terry?
And that was in the submission that we most recently made.
Okay, yeah.
And then the southerly driveway remains the same as the shared access. DOT likes that.
The car wash sits right here.
Yep.
So. And we've added some signage per DOT's request internal to the site so that it's clear that if you have a customer of the retail parking here that, and they want to go north, that they know they need to come out here and make the left rather than coming here because they can't make the left. So they asked for some internal signage, we added there. Okay. So typically when DOT gives their conceptual approval, that's them saying, we're good with your driveways, we're good with what your driveways look like and function as. And you can move into the design stage, which is really the nuts and bolts of
pulling a permit to go to
pulling a
construction.
permit. Typically, planning boards want to see at least conceptual approval, so that's where we're at.
Okay.
So UCAT, you received, well, Frank received an email from them saying that they can't make concrete plans to have a stop at this location at this time. I don't remember the reasoning exactly.
Yeah, so there was a request in our August meeting about could a bus stop be positioned along the frontage? We did reach out proactively to UCAT, Ulster County Area Transit. We received a memo back. They looked at it. Basically what they said was, we run it's basically a flag service where as long as someone's along the route, they can pick them up. You don't have to be at a specific stop. But they're in the process of reevaluating the network. They have a consultant, I guess, working with them. They can't commit to a shelter at this location now, but they said that they would consider it as part of their future plans. So nothing we're doing would prevent that from happening, but that's where they're at this point. And there should be a memo in the file relative to that.
Yeah, I believe we had addressed that in this submission on September 11th.
Yep.
We had sent the reciprocal easement agreement with 143 North Chestnut related to the project site and the adjacent site that has been reviewed by Emily, I believe, and Will Frank. Not sure.
I gotta check in with Will on that.
Okay. They've been sent to both attorneys for their review, as well as the rail trail access agreement. We've also sent that for your review. And for both of those agreements, we would be okay with that being a condition of like the project approval, those getting signed.
The rail trail, you do need to go before the village board on it. Or the rail.
Yeah, they need to approve that. Mhm. And then
That's the precursor to the.
right, yeah, it would just be a condition of the approval with the planning board. And then as for the pump station, and nothing new has happened on that front. We gonna have a developers agreement made with 137 North Chestnut to split the cost of the new pump station. And the applicant is still waiting for information on the Momentum Fund. Even though that would just help us pay for the project regardless. The mitigation to that pump station is that we're providing the village with a new pump station. Lastly, we included new EV charging stations. There's 13 of them on the site, because that was one of the comments that we received. I believe Terry had asked for them. So that is all and then the SWIFT comments, we received those from Dennis's office, and we are going to be responding to them by written comment. But as of right,
and nothing relative to the SWIFT comments are substantive to change anything to the site itself. They're minor, going through the actual model of the stormwater calculations and adjusting a little rim and invert in here for storage and quantity, but it will not change anything to the overall site as you see.
Is there something being done to treat the runoff? I know there was one section where there was no treatment.
There's porous pavement on the site in its entirety. Back here to treat 99% of it. We do have an existing network here, and we've talking to Dennis that goes under the building, a storm that goes through, which is here. There's no way to bring that out to the front because it's existing now, and it's too low to get it to this location without having to go back up into the car wash and redo everything in the car wash. So what we've worked on is treating more of the area that's here to compensate for areas that aren't being treated before. So we're still meeting the requirements as per the DEC.
I just noticed that in his comment. I thought it might make a change to the plan.
Nope.
So you're addressing all of his comments?
Yes, correct.
Great.
That's going to be the engineer had approved the station.
Yes, he gave preliminary approval. He
Right.
didn't provide like a final approval, but nothing is changing. The pump station's still gonna be at the same location that it is existing. And the cost is the same estimates that he provided in his preliminary memo.
And whether or not you get the grant, the cost will be
The
covered,
cost,
right?
the cost will be covered, yes.
And I don't recall, do you have are you operating on a force main over to the pump station?
We will have our own pump station for our building to pump up to the gravity right in front of the car wash.
Okay.
And then it'll be gravity across the street as it does today.
But that'll all be your.
Correct, private. That'll be our infrastructure, correct.
The other question I had was about the affordable housing units. And is there a plan for where those will be, or do we have any details on?
I believe we had provided that,
In an earlier submission.
yeah, maybe
Okay.
back in June. I don't have it on hand. Yeah, that's definitely it.
The architect, yeah.
Mhm. Who's managing the building once it gets built?
The owners, they currently own and operate similar facilities, so they would be the ones usually maintaining it based on my understanding at this time. Which is, it's actually a combination of Baxter and Kimlin. Kimlin owns the property, but Baxter Companies, they're in Poughkeepsie. This is the first project I think they have right in New Paltz. They have several in Ulster County, but they manage and operate several facilities like this throughout Dutchess County and actually all the way up through Hudson and all over.
Okay, well, I think I am ready to move on. I think the next step would be to adopt this declaration that you prepared that I'm now not seeing here.
Yeah, we're gonna have the part 3 and then
Okay.
the next draft notice, and so if you agree with all of it, then the board can take a vote to declare an ed back and direct us to file it and provide notice to the other agencies.
Yeah, I guess, does anyone have any last comments, or you ready to do that? Okay. In that case, could I get a motion to adopt the seeker negative declaration and circulate it? Move. Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. Yeah, and then I think just,
We have some follow-up on our end.
Yeah.
Things that you
Some of the-
provided, and then
some of those
Move
final
forward with
agreements.
approval next, yeah.
get everything in order.
Yeah. All right, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna sit right here. The next team.
Okay. PG 22-11, 137 North Chestnut Street.
See you next time.
Yes. Have a good night, everyone.
Right.
Thank you.
Are you looking for the affordable housing plan?
No. it's-
Oh, okay, sorry.
That, but
I can also provide that, like, I'm
Okay, I mean,
on
if
the
you wouldn't.
money. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
just provide that. No problem. Let's see. Copy and paste.
So, were there any updates to the plan since our last meeting?
Yeah, Justin Dates, Colliers Engineering and Design. What I figured I'd do is just kind of run through the updated submission package that we gave to the board, kind of gets you up to speed. I think I want to kind of dotting the i's, crossing the t's from the consultants and some of the agencies, and I'll just kind of, do a summation of what we had provided. So we had provided a comment response letter, which addressed at that point, the latest that we had from the New York State DOT, DTS Provident, your traffic consultant, Capital Environmental. The Ulster County Planning Board had a letter from May of 2023. When we modified slightly the unit count in the project, it got recirculated back to Ulster County Planning, and they issued that updated letter. So we responded to their comments there. And then we had a comment letter from Bernier and Larios from September regarding the SWIP. So we went through all those letters, provided our written responses and clarifications. From a DOT standpoint, there was a couple of minor modifications that we made, or they were looking for clarification on our frontage along 32, dealing with sidewalk locations, the ADA or the accessible curb ramps there. We identified which would be applicable to. Yeah, I can place this here. We're gonna just move. So again, accessible ramps at our access sidewalk along the entire frontage, and then an actual sidewalk connection to the crosswalk here down on the southern end. So that's been all cleaned up and worked through with DOT. Also, guide rail treatment. There's an existing guide rail there that doesn't meet the current DOT specs, so that will be removed and replaced. I have some more recent, actually, correspondence today from the DOT that I'll provide to the board. But so we provide our clarifications to DOT on those items. DTS Providence letter. The only outstanding comment that they had really had to do with there's Central Hudson had an existing 30-foot easement that went into our project site. We've been working with them and did secure a reduction of that from 30 to 10 feet. So we provided a copy of that amended easement agreement in our submission, and it is at that time it wasn't filed with the county, but it was just filed a couple of days ago at this point, I think on the 29th. So we can get a final version of that over to the board for the record. Let's see, Capital Environmental had some comments which our project biologist had responded to in regards to some of the wetlands. We do have some clearing of some of the wetland areas that are associated with the drainage swale up in front of the site. And then we have a connection to the rail trail at the rear of the site, which we will have a pedestrian bridge and connection to the rail trail. We did file a pre-construction notification with the Army Corps of Engineers, and that was issued back in March of this year. So we did secure the necessary permitting for that. Ulster County had a couple of comments. One was regarding signage. Right now for the project, we don't have any tenants for the commercial space. So we would be, coming back to this board to firm up and get the signage approved at that time. They did ask for additional or provisions for additional electric vehicle charging station. So we have 4 right now in the back of the site. We showed the potential for expansion to get another 2 at least. So that was their request from county planning. Let's see. The Central Hudson easement we modified. We've wrapped up with the ZBA. We did need a side yard setback variance. Within the MBR zone, there's a maximum of 15-foot setback on the side yards. So on the southern end, we have that with right around 11 feet. On this northern end, we're upwards of 138 feet. And that's really driven by a couple of things, the wetlands along the front of the site, where we're placing our access driveway into the site. So it's really, you know, forced our building to be on the southern end of the parcel there. So we would provide a copy of the resolution where the ZBA did approve that side yard variance for the north end of the site. The DRB HPC, we have received approval from them, and the chair, Tom Olson, actually forwarded an email just today over to Autumn, and I think it made it to the board as well. So that's been taken care of. DOT, so as I mentioned, we did respond in our latest submission to some of the comments they had. They reached out again for some additional clarification. But I did today get a copy of their conceptual approval. I think the project before us actually just mentioned that similar
Yeah, they received that too.
approval. So I did forward it to Autumn. I have copies here. I can just provide. There's a couple of items that they note on here, again, that would be finalized. I have one extra. That would be finalized for the highway, as part of the highway permit. So we're in, can essentially go to permit stage with the DOT with them for that. Stormwater. So as I mentioned, for our submission, we had addressed Mr. Larius's September review memo on our SWIP. He also issued one yesterday. So we had a call this afternoon where we went over his comments of the October 2nd letter. And there's it's really clarifications of where some of the information is. The methodology wasn't questioned, and the design itself would not change as it's really presented on the plans today. It's really just providing more detail and locations of how we're meeting the permit. So Mr. Laos actually sent an email this afternoon kind of saying that we walked through the comments, and will be those would be addressed. Sorry,
that was from
Dennis Larios.
October 2nd.
That was the letter. Yeah, he had issued it.
Okay.
And then we went over that with him this afternoon, and he sent an email to Autumn, and I believe you were also copied, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, maybe that follow-up. Okay, yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I see that.
And
Going to the rail trail.
I'll just do the pump station, then just do the.
Okay.
So the last component, similar to the Baxter project, we will have a pump station, private pump station on our parcel as well. The prior Gateway development had the same scenario. They had a pump station, and it connected to the same manhole that Baxter referenced on our side of Route 32, and then it goes gravity across 32 to the east and ties into the pump station there. So that will be how we'll facilitate the sewer needs for the project. And as we noted in the letter, this applicant has identified that they'd be paying for half that improvement of the village pump station per that preliminary design estimate from Mr. Larios again. So
So in your case, you'll own the force main and the pump.
Yes, sir. Yes, we'll have our own pump, and we'll have that force main. That's absolutely correct. Yep. It's actually, that's how the Gateway operated previously. We're connecting right into that same point of connection at the manhole. So I guess you want
Yeah, just to add, similar to Baxter, we provided a rail trail access easement that needs to be reviewed by your office and Will, Frank. No worries. So other than that, is there any other updates?
Well, I think that covers all of our updates, and Scott is on the Zoom as well with us. He couldn't physically be present tonight. But we're happy to answer any questions that you might have on anything that we did not cover in the follow-up letter.
Okay. Can't think of anything myself. Is there anything that we should refer back to our?
Well, I think the responses to our consultants' comments, we should just let them have a look at and make sure
Okay.
it's satisfactory. It sounds
Yeah.
like Dennis is already taken care of, but it would just be capital and BTS. probably,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, all right. So we will forward those, and then I think we can prepare the EAF part 2 for next time, or whenever, your next appearance will be. The board can circulate that and do some research for.
So you need more time to just review what was submitted, or is there any way to go through a part 2 tonight? Or
I wasn't planning on doing that.
What we've been doing
No.
is dividing up the categories so that the board members can review, in depth each
Yeah.
different topic, and then they can come together and share notes and fill it out in real time.
Unfortunately, I think we need a little more time to,
Figured I'd ask.
go into each section. But yeah, we can definitely do that next meeting and have that to you then, keep moving it forward. Other than that, I'm not sure if there's anything else at this time, but it's looking really close. Looking
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Any way we could move forward with a part 2, part 3, and a neg deck at the next meeting?
How would that work? Yeah.
That's not been our practice, and usually the board likes to go through the part 2, and then we can write up the part 3 based on.
Yeah.
Okay, because nothing's really changing, that's why. I was
Understood, but
wondering.
we haven't done that yet for this project.
Okay.
right? So.
That's fine.
Yeah.
See how many things we have. It's bewildering. Yeah. It's a lot going on, what you saw.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone has calculated that. I'm curious. How much the apartments are renting.
I don't know.
They'll be within the standard rents that are appropriate for a project of this type with its amenities. We haven't gotten to a final number yet because we haven't finalized construction costs. So it's in the works. We do provide for 6 affordable units as required by the code. We actually are providing an additional per se, because I think we're at 51 units and we have to have 1 additional to get to 6. So we're doing that. But they'll be commensurate with, what the rents are in the current market. We're not seeking any subsidies or anything like that.
We'll consider it to be a little high.
Unfortunately, the construction costs are mirroring that right now.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, sorry, we can't do more tonight, but we'll have that for you next time.
Okay,
Great.
great, thank you guys.
That'll be the next meeting.
17th.
The 17th.
I believe I'll have to check with Autumn about the agenda, but I believe that there should be some on that agenda. Okay. Yeah, that's the one with a lot of new applications, right? Okay. Yeah, tentatively scheduled for next time. So.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And with that, I'd like to get a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Yeah.